molweni ekuseni.
Dumelang, molo, bota, kunjani?
Kaites.
Morning.
Sanibonani.
Goeiemôre.
In many ways, a simple greeting could be a great way to start any conversation in any language. And South Africa is not short on languages. But do we acknowledge all of our different languages? UNESCO declared 2019 as the Year of Indigenous Languages, the year we need to preserve and promote the diversity of languages. On the 3rd of October, this is exactly what the Department of Arts and Culture, in association with the Pan-South African Language Board, has done at the Birchwood Hotel in Ekurhuleni. The conference looked at finding ways to promote Indigenous languages. Guest speakers addressed the audience about finding solutions to celebrate our different languages. What meaning does a conference like this hold for us?
It means, firstly, we are connecting with ourselves as Africans. We are reminding ourselves who we are, but most importantly, we are able to locate ourselves within the global stage. As you know, that this year, UNESCO declared it as the Year for Indigenous Languages. So we really are starting a process where we'll be taking stock of how do we ensure, starting with South Africa for instance, how do we ensure that indigenous South African languages are developed, are preserved and promoted. And for us, it's a good platform to do that, and we'll be doing it every year now.
I think that the conference today particularly is a pivotal conference. It is significant because in many ways it has set the tone, or it will set the tone, for the resourcing of the indigenous languages. So it's extremely important. It's possible that what the ministry has done by having such a conference, seems to me, is to at least have us talking. It brings about a discussion, it brings about a conversation that has been necessary for a long time.
It means a lot for us as PenSouth because converging all the stakeholders who deal with languages, with their expertise, with the discussions that will also bring about recommendations, which will also boost our programs and redirect, if needs, so our programs so that they touch more on what the people really require, in line with our mandate, of course, of promoting multilingualism. And more specifically, that if the focus is Indigenous languages, something that we haven't been biased as much on Indigenous languages. Hence, you'll even see that the status of elevation, it's not yet in par with the two other languages, English and Afrikaans. So I believe that this conference will bring us to a state where we say that the discussions have guided us on how to elevate the status of the Indigenous languages.
Remember years ago, there was a concept of the African Renaissance, but the feeling was that it was very much a preoccupation and a concept monopolized by the elite. So the kinds of ideas that we have must be practicalized and put into practice by engaging directly with the communities and forming institutions that are within the communities, and these translated and understood in the languages of the people themselves.
The importance of promoting our languages is so great that guests travelled from other parts of South Africa to take part in this conference. Nikiwe Bam, princess of the Mpondomise clan, came up from the Eastern Cape to express her feelings about the preservation of languages.
Our languages are also part of our identity and part of our culture. So for me, this conference is very important, especially it's emphasizing on some of the languages that have died off, if I may put it that way. But in a mission to revive our traditions and our origin and our identity, we cannot leave out our languages, because everything that we are it comes of the way that we have communicated before, the way that we have done things. And we know in that process we have been developing terminologies which have died off. So I think it's very important that we are coming up now to say this is our languages, we need to love them, we need to speak them.
Today's conference means a lot to me. The only part that it's a bit painful is the fact that our language is not recognized or official as the Khoisan Nation, known as the Khoisan Nation. We are the Khu and the Khoi Nation, that is the Khoi and the San Nation. So being at the Union Building is already 11 months, fighting for recognition and for, especially for language to be officialized. There's, I would say, a little bit of prosperity. There is some growth in it. Being here, well, if people feel so proud about their language, how much do we? How much do we? And yet it's not being recognized. So we're not here to be argumentative or whatever. We received our invitation, we came, and then we've learned a lot.
As part of this conference, we are here to make sure that our languages as tribes from Eastern Cape are being considered as part of the transformation process, as part of the languages that are recognized by the Constitution. As you will remember or know that the Constitution recognizes 11 languages, but our position and our view is clear, is that there are no 11 languages. There are more than 11 languages in South Africa. In Eastern Cape, you've got Amampondo, you have got Amampondomse, you have Amabomvana, you have Amabhaca, you have Amaxhosa, you have Amagcaleka, a number of them, Amahlobe, and each one of them speaks its language. So we are very much delighted and very honored to be part of this conference, which seeks to address those issues.
Language, like a fingerprint, is part of any individual's identity. It brings people together. It finds ways to tell a story. It celebrates our heritage. But it carries a deeper meaning in other ways as well.
It is very important that all the official languages are used socially and economically, at least to give other people, especially who are from the rural areas, a chance to understand most of the things that are spoken all around the world. Because if you are denied an opportunity to use your mother tongue, you are also denied an opportunity to learn about other people's cultures.
We are actually very happy that our language will be officially made, And the other thing is, the only thing that we now, the second thing that we must fight for is recognition.
We are still being recognized under our slave identity. So we're fighting for our identity and language to be official.
Our languages must be recognized by our Constitution. If you write a letter to the bank by isiXhosa, writing it isiXhosa, the bank must recognize your language. As part of that, we are saying this conference, we expect it to pronounce on that. So that tomorrow we have a society that speaks its own language.
So Indigenous language and stories are fundamental to a big way forward for South Africa. We're losing stories. People are not telling their kids stories. And so our policy recommendations are that arts and culture and education departments work together to try and get parents to tell their children more stories, which will add into that virtuous cycle.
Recognition of a language is a very important step forward. It gives a sense of purpose, it brings identity, and it shows respect. Language is also an important commodity in today's business environment.
Language is a tool for economic empowerment. It means that our communities should not only speak the language, they should access information from government, from parliament in the languages that they understand, which are indigenous languages. They should be able to sell shares, sign contracts with big companies in the languages that they understand. So in that way, they are participating in the economy of the country.
Digital data should be developed in a country, and that linked up to digital humanities and language technologies, so human language technologies. Those technologies are therefore building speech recognizers, speech synthesizers, that's text-to-speech, machine translation, to name but a few of them.
Once you've trained somebody as an editor, whichever language it is, they have the skills as an editor. Those skills can be used by the United Nations or the European Union, whoever, to edit their publications. So they're doing a lot of publications. That's an automatic export. So there's a direct correlation. The stories which we have, which are out there, but are not being told and not being captured, are stories that can lead to films, that can lead to further art exports are missing. But the most important thing that I feel is that we need to build on our creativity and our innovation. That will lead to that technology improvement. So that indirect correlation, and that will affect all sectors. And that's a foundation for the fourth industrial revolution.
Actually, the fourth industrial revolution, as we see this, has already been with us for about 20 years, starting off with just applied to other languages. If we look at Google and Google Talk, and specifically also systems with which Apple also implements, those things are large, and they have that, but we need to get to that point as well. And so we're in a process of trying to speed this up, but we had to appoint, well, this is typically, as far as the fourth generation is concerned, is that people think they're going to lose their jobs, but we actually have another view to that you are actually going to create much more jobs. And that's happened with the center which we've just studied out, and where 3 years ago there wasn't any, didn't exist the positions, and now we have 28 positions that have been filled by mother tongue speakers of the different languages of the country, the official languages. That's what we're focusing on.
So I greet you first in the language of my people from Nigeria, Shalafia. I greet you in the name of the people whose surname I bear, Wohotase. I greet you also in the name of the great people who were the last to fight in the West, Nagadef. And I greet you also in one of your own languages, Dumalan.
On the 3rd of October, the Department of Arts and Culture hosted the South Africa Indigenous Language Conference. The purpose of this conference was to find a way to promote the different languages of South Africa. Early in the day, guest speaker Professor Molefi Asante took to the podium to discuss the origin of languages.
I go back to the fact that the 3,000 languages, there's 3,000 languages spoken on this continent. And here you have, in terms of languages, African languages, at least 9 or 10. And then you have other languages as well. And you have confronted this task head on. That is, to me, a beautiful thing. and you've confronted it by saying precisely what is necessary. In the context of this day and age and all modern periods that will even come afterwards in the future, we have to say languages ought to be developed more and further. How do you do that?
Another big question that surfaced at this conference was, how do we go about to preserve languages in our country?
Well, everything begins at basics. You know, you do not get anything at a higher level without first, having it at the bottom. So the sense, therefore, is that there's got to be a conscious effort on the part of the leadership, those who are respected by those who follow them, to get a sense of inculcating and promoting this idea, amongst the people, and those that are in the forefront to put it in practice, because simply articulating and saying things in words and not being seen to be doing them in practice does not do much for us. So those who are in leadership positions, have got to lead by example in doing this, and then other people will also learn and appreciate what needs to be done.
We look at our mandate, which is social cohesion and nation building. And in it, we are looking at how do we do what we do best as Africa, to give Africa and export what is not found anywhere else, which is called Ubuntu, humanity. You are because I am. It is about the values of caring and sharing. We look at the broader issues of society, how society moves forward, as it were. We look at the areas of our program. We call it seasons programs, where we exchange cultural, artistic and heritage experiences with the rest of the world. We take artists in South Africa, we send them to a particular country for a period of time, and vice versa. And we believe that in that way, we'll be able to exchange our experiences as a people the world over.
The development of languages is not only to speak the language, is to archive the language. That is the part that is done through literature. Hence, with us, we have a leg of national lexicography units that archive information. That's part of development of literature. But also, we always encourage writers to write in their indigenous languages. But also encouraging them, we want stakeholders, publishers, to say we'll take that work and we'll publish it and it will go to the market.
As Black people, we are gifted. We are artistic people. We are performers. So we need to use such talents for development. We need to use such talents to improve our lives as well, and not sit around and say we need jobs while we have something in us that we can use. We can develop our languages in the communities. We can speak the languages and translate and develop material that we can use for other people to learn our languages, even writing books, because we don't need to go and buy dictionaries while you can also do the same thing in your community. Because if you're educated, you can say molo, good afternoon, and so on. Like translate and sit there, write that, and provide to people that are not Xhosa speakers, and you teach them.
I think we just have to be patient. Developing a language is not a child's play. There's a lot of research that needs to be done. Confirming a language and improving it to a level of official language needs just an official signature. But developing that language, you need the originators of the language to give you more information and be precise with what you put in the books that you are writing for that language. Otherwise, if you mislead the very generation that you are trying to help, then it will not give any purpose.
There's one strategy and approach in order for us to achieve the preservation of our languages. One is to add our languages in curriculum. All subjects in lower grades must be taught in their languages. That's one thing. because you need to indoctrinate children in order for you to achieve what you are saying right now, to say you decolonize languages, that you have a physical science or technology that is taught by English on its own is a disadvantage to our kids. So we are saying it must be implemented in that level, and it must be imposed in the Department of Education as part of the curriculum.
I think if we combine cultures together, I think that would be very fruitful, because in different cultures, then you find that all different cultures and all nationalities in South Africa are being recognized. Oh, there's the Khoisans. Oh, there's the Zulus. Oh, there's... So, petition and all that. No. Voting and then, no. Let's all unite. That is what we, the Khu and the Khoi, stand for. The Khoisan Nation stand for unity.
The beauty and purpose of language is to communicate with each other. As South Africans, we have found ways to do exactly that.
Soweto! I know. Maybe you can begin in Mangaung somewhere, Soweto. There they can speak 4 languages in one sentence. No, serious. Yeah, we are guy. I'll bring you some pizza. You're blind. Lalela. Only in Soweto. 4 languages in one sentence. We are guy. So from Sotho to Afrikaans, from Afrikaans to English, from English to isiZulu or isiXhosa. I'll bring you some pizza because ngiyazi ukuthi ayinqanywa. And then it's Otsital now. Minister, there's a lot of work to be done, chance. Now we have to officialize Otsital as well. And efanagalo emkotini, welcome, Carltonville. Yo.
What key messages should we take with us going forward?
You have to claim for others what you claim for yourself. That's my basic lesson. And that if you, claim a sense of identity for yourself, you must allow other people to claim that for themselves. And you must encourage them to do that and work with them to make their languages robust.
The time has come, for the African people, especially the elite, to be seen to be advancing the languages of Africa, because at the moment they come across speaking English, French, Portuguese and all that, and the people tend to think that their own indigenous language are at a lower level. But if those of us, who are educated are seen to be expressing all the concepts that you are expressing in the languages that are spoken by the ordinary people, then the ordinary people will have a sense of pride, and these languages will be developed and advanced.
Parents and guardians need to take more responsibility in reading to their children, telling their children stories, singing to their kids, helping them play musical instruments at an early age. Get a culture of reading inculcated at a very early age.
Don't misjudge the value of your language, African languages specifically, and just go for English and Afrikaans as official languages. Those languages can be incorporated and lifted in the 4th Industrial Revolution as soon as they get digitized.
I think the moment we love ourselves and our own languages, we are going to be able to ask questions and without being ashamed to say, I don't understand, English is not my mother tongue, so I am allowed to ask questions. It's not that the concepts or whatever that you are teaching I don't understand. So I wish that we can improve on that, make sure that all universities, they strive even with their textbook to have them written in different languages, so that even if I don't understand in the lecture hall, I know I can buy the biology textbook that is written in my language as well, so that I can also understand certain terms.
I think everybody's input would have a great effect in our future. Everybody's input. at one round table. All cultures, all races, all languages. You know what I mean? And then, as one professor said, that even in workplaces, as well as academic places, varsities, etc., you should have all official languages and a representative of each, including sign language, and also the Khoisan language, in all tertiaries, in all companies, and in everywhere. And then I think that would be much fruitful in our future South Africa.